Hola, hola. So it's so good to have you. Well, as I was saying in the beginning, I decided to create this little lecture as a way of welcoming you all to the program of Patreon, to my Patreon. It means a lot to us, to Marek, to me, your support, emotional, on top of everything, because it's been a long period of time of not being able to be tour guides, and that's what we've been for a long time, and being able to share what we have learned, what we have in our hearts with you, having an audience is so positive for us. And we hope, well, this period of waiting will end soon. We are very positive in that. It's going to possibly be ending all of this next year, maybe around March. So until then, well, you have a lot of me like a very available for sharing tours and also more lectures. And Marek is also going to be supporting. You possibly know that Marek is an archaeologist as well as a tour guide, so most of my knowledge comes from him. And well, I wanted to be an archaeologist, so I am sort of like a frustrated archaeologist. I couldn't be an archaeologist, but with him, I have fulfilled lots of my interests in terms of archaeology. So, but also we tour guides are like, we do a lot of things. Tour guides are very like open in terms of interests, and you have to be, because when tourists come, they ask you about everything, like from politics to biology to geography to everything, economics. So we tend to dig into different topics. And one of the things most people are interested about is what makes Peru unique, what makes Peru special. And one of the things that makes Peru very special is its nature, its unique fauna, its unique vegetation. And there is a very special group of animals that belong to one family, the American Cameloids, that are maybe the less known. They are very exotic for many people, but many people don't know that these animals are linked to the camels. The llamas, for example, we call them llamas, the guanacos, the alpacas, and the most famous of all of these animals, because possibly is the most exotic, is the vicuña or vicuna. It's also known by English speaking people. So these four animals are linked, and they are very old. So let me share with you some slides that I have prepared since last week for this welcoming. And well, it seems that nobody else will be attending, so maybe we can start now. Is that okay? See? Thank you. By the way, if you have a question, please just interrupt me. I tend to speak a lot, so I will try to slow down and make some room for questions. If not, at the end also we can go to the questions too. Okay? So let's see. Oh, the beautiful! Hello.
My younger daughter.
So let me start with this. This is new technology for me. By the way, I'm sorry if I mess it up for a moment, because this is new, all new, and to Marek and to me, YouTube has been very helpful, because in YouTube you can find everything, like from, I don't know, making a bomb to changing a tire. Like, you find everything in YouTube.
Yeah, because
So the slideshows, everything is something we've learned there. So, okay, so let's start with this lecture. By the way, Marek is also around here. In a while, he's going to come and say hi. And well, this presentation is all about American cameloids. And something very important is that when we think in llamas and alpacas, we not necessarily think on let's say vicuñas, llamas, guanacos, and that is because, well, these animals don't look quite alike. But millions of years ago, these animals had a origin that is not even South America or Asia. Their origin in common was North America. So imagine the ancestor in common of the alpacas, llamas, guanacos, and vicuñas, and also the Bactrian camel and the dromedarian camel was an animal that existed in North America about 45 million years ago. No? So this animal eventually adapted, moved also, and well, went in two different directions. No? Crossing the Bering Strait, well, this animal went into Asia and later into Africa, transformed, adapted, evolved, and turned into the Bactrian camelid, the one of Mongolia originally, and the dromedarian, the one that exists in Asia and the north of Africa. So, but the other species of animal that stay here evolved into becoming these different animals. So what you're seeing in the image here are vicuñas. These vicuñas were the ones we saw when we were on our trip to the jungle. And they are very shy animals, actually. They are known as the Barbies of the highlands because they are so beautiful. You will see in a moment them. And look at these animals. They are different. Can you see the difference? These animals are llamas. These are different kinds of animals. So you can see they are more like heavy builded, more like muscular. And in the case of the other ones, they are slim, very long neck, very, very slim, very long legs too. You will see a little bit better in a moment here the differences. So look at this. We have these four animals. So llamas possibly are the most famous. Now the llama, the Peruvian llama. And now also the alpaca because of the sweaters. Maybe you hear about the alpaca sweaters. I learned a couple of years ago that you can see alpacas in California, in the States. There are ranches that have alpacas. So, but they are raised more like pets, basically, for rich people, no? But you can see here these four different animals, right? And they have complete different characteristics. So what is the link between these animals? I will pass in a moment to explain the physical differences between these four animals. I will come back to this image in a moment. Just I want to make sure that you see that the relation between all of these animals. You can see the Bactrian camel, you can see the llama, you can see the guanacos. There are different kinds of llamas, by the way. You can see llama cara, llama, alpaca, guanaco, vicuña. Look at the alpaca. We have a type of alpaca that has very, very long hair that ends up like a Rastafari style. Very, very long hair. Very fine. Actually, this is the finest type of alpaca. It is called suri. The suri alpaca. And well, the dromedarian also next, cameloid next to the alpaca suri. So these animals, as I said before, they have a common origin. So, well, the evolution of these animals, as I said before, started long time ago, about 45 million years ago. And this origin, well, the family, as I was trying to explain, is called the Camelidae, and there are two types, so two groups of these animals. I have made some notes also to share with you, so in that way I don't mix the names. There are two groups. The Lamini, which is the American cameloids, and the Camelini, which is the one from Asia and the one also from North Africa. Yeah? So let's see. This is one of the oldest ancestors of this animal from North America, the Protylopus. And this animal lived about 45 million years ago in North America. Then we have the next one, the Stenomylus. I'm trying to remember these names. And the Stenomylus is from 30 million years ago. Also, this is the evolution of that other animal. Oxydactylus. The Oxydactylus lived about approximately 25 million years ago in North America. This animal looks a little bit more like a camelid, right? And one of the things is because this animal is the evolution that turned eventually into the Asian cameloids, as you can see. That's why it has a hip on the back, right? And this one is the, let's say, brother of that other animal that I mentioned that is known as the Paleolama. Paleolama. The Paleolama is the animal that came into South America. And that happened approximately 2 million years ago when that animal entered into South America. This is a comparison between that animal and also a man nowadays. Much bigger actually than the llamas we have nowadays. Okay, so now we go to this part, which is explaining you the 4 American cameloids we have. As I said before, we have 4 types. We have the vicuña, the guanaco, the alpaca, and the llama. They are not exactly the same animal. They are related. And let's start with these 2 we have on top, vicuña and guanaco. Well, these are animals that are wild. See, they are wild. They are not domesticated. So these animals came, so far the specialists in studying these animals, these species, they have come to the conclusion that these animals evolved from the Paleolama, right? So the vicuña and the guanaco are both wild animals. So what we know is that also millions of years ago, these animals in contact with humans were domesticated. A group of vicuñas and a group of guanacos were domesticated. It's pretty much like the story of the wolves and the dogs, right? The wolves and the dogs, we still have both, right? But we know that dogs came from wolves, right? So it's basically the same idea. So the vicuñas, the specialists, the geneticists, realized that the vicuñas are basically the wild version of the alpacas, and the guanacos are the wild version of the llamas. So they are connected actually. There's more connection between llamas and guanacos and alpacas and vicuñas. So even physically, you can notice similarities between these animals. Characteristics like, for example, llamas and guanacos have pointy ears. And their structure, physical structure, is much more bigger, much more prompt to carry big burdens. For example, they are burden animals. The llamas nowadays, they are used to carry things in the Andes. In the case of the vicuña, the fiber of the vicuña is much softer. It's very, very soft fiber. Alpacas have also the softness of the vicuña. So look at these beautiful faces, no? These are this is a close-up to the llama, vicuña, guanaco, and alpaca. So unfortunately, nowadays, most of these animals have seen decrease its numbers. And this started long time ago. This started when the Spanish conquistadors came. Well, possibly you know that when the Spanish came, when the conquistadors came to these territories, they were not just coming with the intention of taking the gold and the silver. That would be lovely, because in that way, well, they will at the end go back home and they will never return. But they wanted to stay here. They want to bring their culture. They want to bring their beliefs, their ideas. In the time, they were not, well, let's say, interested in preserving the local species of animals, because they were more used to, for example, consuming the meat of cows or sheep, or let's say using the horses. And when they came here to Peru, they saw these animals as one of the most common, some of the most common. Llamas especially, that were used to carry things, and vicuñas and alpacas were used, their hairs were used to weave, to create beautiful clothes. There is an interesting story that says that, well, the Inca, the King Inca, used to dress up only in the fiber of vicuña or vicuna, that beautiful animal you see there. And why? Why especially this vicuña? Remember that this was a wild animal. We don't keep these animals locked in. They are very sensitive to being locked. It is because of the softness of the hair of this animal. The story says that the whole cape of the Inca, which was very, very big, once well, this is from the chronists, the chronicles, no, they mention in their writings, no, that the whole cape of the Inca, that was very big, once he took it out, he could put all that in just one hand, because it was so soft and so thin, not like silk, that could fit into his hand, right? And imagine how soft this material was. And the Inca never used the same clothes 2 times. It was just once. Imagine the closet of the Inca, right? So you can notice, first of all, that the first animal and the third animal look very, very alike. Remember, the llama, the first one, and the guanaco are connected. The guanaco is the wild ancestor, still existing, of the llama. And of course, the humans use the llama basically because if strength is strength. There was no horses. There were no horses in Peru until the coming of the conquistadors. So the llamas were used to carry things. But a llama is not strong enough to carry a human. The max weight they can carry is about, let's say, 40 kilograms, no more than that. So it is not enough for carry a fully grown human. And look at also the vicuña and the alpaca, also some similarities. The vicuña has not really much hair. Most of the hair this animal has is in between the neck and the chest. It's the zone where it grows the most. But it has actually very small length of hair in his body. And the alpaca, as you know, there are different kinds of alpaca, even one that has very, very long hair. So this is selection. Humans made a selection of the vicuñas, the ones that produce more hair, and eventually the passing of thousands, millions of years in some cases, made these animals to produce more hair, and that's how eventually they have this length of hair nowadays, the alpacas. Look at the comparison of the height. We are seeing the scale of 1 meter, right? So a man of a meter, maybe 60, 70, will be as high as a llama. The llamas are the highest, the tallest ones of these animals. Then you have the guanaco, the alpaca, and the vicuña. The vicuña is the smallest one. Is the also most delicate. It looks quite delicate, actually. So, well, let me also share with you some other things. So the information that I want to share with you. Let me go back to this part here. And look at how important the alpaca, llamas, and vicuñas are for Peru. The national, the, the coat of arm of Peru, this is the coat of arm of Peru. It has 3 fields, right? And these fields represent the, say, the wealth of the country in terms of resources. We have in the field that you see here with the blue back part, we have a vicuña. A vicuña. Next we have a quina tree. I will explain each one in a moment. And in the bottom part we have a horn with gold, golden coin. So what is the representation of the, or the meaning of each one? The bottom one represents the mineral world, the mineral world, the gold especially, which we were rich in when the Spanish conquistadors came, and we still are very rich actually in minerals. Then we have the flora, the flora, and the quina tree, very important also in our history, because from this tree was discovered the quinina or quinine, which was used to fight malaria, for example. This is a tree that is native from the jungle of Peru and was also in process of let's say, almost extinction. So now we are taking care of it. And we have the vicuña, which was also until the 70s, until this century, past century, sorry, until the 70s, in big risk of disappearing. It was almost in extinction. So thanks to the help of people from that time, especially one lady called Bárbara de Chile. She, by the way, was killed presumably by Sendero Luminoso, the terrorist group. And the reason is because she came in a time when this species was about to be extended. Nobody cared about it. Nobody cared about this animal to disappear on the surface of planet Earth. So she tried to fight the over hunting of this animal. She went town to town, talking to the people of the communities, making some conscience. And that was the time of Sendero Luminoso, the fight, the guerrilla. So presumably we know that she was killed, and presumably was killed by Sendero Luminoso. And there is a place, a protected zone, Pampas Galeras, that also has the name of this lady, because, well, she's sort of like a martyr of the preservation of vicuñas. So that's why vicuñas are so special for us. And now, well, the population has grew enormously. We even have a day for vicuña. It's November 15. November 15 of every year, we celebrate our vicuñas. So I have also, before I pass to the question round, I have something to share with you. It's in this little box. I couldn't bring vicuña to you because, unfortunately, you know, they are wild and too far away from me. But I have this, which is a little part of a vicuña. This is vicuña hair. And it was a present given from a friend to Marek. And we keep this. This might worth a lot of money because nowadays a yarn of vicuña cost about, Marek, how much? It's like $500 a yarn of vicuña. A kilogram. A kilogram of vicuña. Thank you very much. Cost about $500. So, but it used to be even more, the price in the 80s, when we had very few of these animals. So imagine doing a scarf. Like if you know how much you use, it's at least for a scarf you need one yarn, right? So it will cost you about $500 just to do a scarf. And in some stores in Lima and in other parts of Peru that are for tourists that offer the true thing, for example, a poncho, which is like a, I don't know how to say it, it's like a cape of vicuña. They're about 2,000 US dollars at least. Is a lot of money. So I don't know if this will work, but I want to use a white page to tell you and to show you how delicate the fiber is. I'm actually touching, taking hairs, but you don't see them because they are so thin. This is the finest fiber, natural finer fiber in the world. It is finer than cashmere, and it is the 10th part, the consistency of a human hair. This is my hair. I'm trying to to put in perspective, and you cannot even see the hair of the vicuña. There are many, actually, there are many here, but you cannot see. It's the 10th of a hair of a human hair. So this is how fine vicuña is. Well, vicuña is my favorite of all of those cameloids, but each one is very special. Each one tell us a lot about our country, about Peru, and we tour guides are part of the preservation process of a species like vicuña, like alpaca, because our work is to create conscience around these animals. And tour guides are not just, to tell stories. We are meant to be like inspire people, right? So, well, this is a little bit of what I have make up for you to know about these beautiful animals. I really hope, especially you, Adam and Agnes, to come to Peru one day, and we would love to share with you, like taking you to see alpacas, vicuñas, maybe buy a 2,000 US dollar jumper, or maybe, who knows. So is there a question so far, Dilsma? Because Marek will come in a moment, and he will tell you some things also to complete the whole idea. But I don't know if you have a question about these animals.
You can compare the price of the from alpaca to vicuña, which is the difference in price. Sweater, for example, one sweater from alpaca, one sweater from vicuña.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good one, because we also have different kinds of alpaca. We have alpaca, we have baby alpaca, and we have maybe alpaca. So you can imagine that maybe alpaca is the cheapest deal you can get here, right? You can get like from alpaca, you can get a sweater in, I don't know, 50 soles, which is equivalent of, well, how much is divided by 3 the US dollar. I don't know how's the American dollar is like the US dollar.
Canadian.
Canadian, sorry, Canadian.
2.5. It's
Oh,
so
So $50 Canadian would be about 65, 70 American.
so yours is stronger.
no, Canadian is low. It's like for $1 we have to pay 1 and 30 cents.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, well, I think that for you will be like about 20 Canadian dollars, maybe, like a sweater. But that is the cheapest alpaca, no? Then we have alpaca, which is the adult animal, that it's like the third time or fourth time his hair has been cut. So that will be up to maybe 100 Canadian dollars. And then you have baby alpaca. And baby alpaca is the first cut of the hair of the animal. And the first cut is the finest. So you can add maybe $50 or $100 more to that. But everybody in Peru will tell you, I'm selling baby alpaca because you don't know, you cannot compare. So usually you have to go to a nice store. But in the nice stores, you usually have a section where you see the vicuña. And you just touch both, and it's a huge difference. Even though good alpaca is so fine, but vicuña is like touching, I don't know, clouds. It's so soft. And as I was saying, up to possibly 2,000 US dollars, or maybe a little bit less could be, but it will be in that rank. So it's a huge difference. And that's why not many people leave Peru with such souvenir.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And vicuña, so they are protected, right? You don't hunt anymore, right?
Exactly. Vicuñas cannot be hunted. And that's by law. We have in Peru a law of protection of vicuñas. But there is a problem still related with the illegal hunting. And it is not just for the hair of the vicuña. In Peru, we still are extremely superstitious. We have still a culture related with magical practices that are inherited from our ancestors, from our Inca or pre-Inca ancestors. So sometimes the healers that we call curanderos, or depends on where you are in Peru, they have different names. During their, if you request something special, they usually will ask you to sacrifice an animal. And if it's something very, very important, like you want to, become rich or something like that, they will demand the vicuña, because vicuña since pre-Hispanic times there is a magical element connected with this animal. So we still live a culture that is mixed blood, pretty much. Our culture is mestiza. We go to churches, and at the same time, we go back home and we ask to Pachamama, for example, blessings. And some people still have in their houses, for example, the skulls. If they find a true skull of someone in their, because they are cemeteries and ancient cemeteries. So they find that, they put that in their house as a protection for them. And they put cigars to the skull, and they believe that entity, that spirit, will protect their houses. So there is a very strong mixture of elements, which I'm going to be presenting soon, something completely dedicated to that, to traditions, to the healers, to the payment to Pachamama. So that's going to be also with Marek, because Marek is my specialist archaeologist, and he will give me more the, let's say, the scientifical let's say perspective. So yes, basically we cannot hunt vicuñas. You can go to, actually you can have prison. I think there's a sentence, prison sentence, if you do that to vicuñas, and if you do that with pumas. And also condors, right, Marek? Condors too. The condors are also protected animals. Mm-hmm. Marek will come to say hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being there.
Hi.
I'm very proud of Vanessa. She's the best.
He taught me everything. I was
No, I
like
don't tell you
memorizing
anything.
everything during
I
the
don't tell
week.
you anything. She makes her own research. She do a lot of work during this week to find the best information for you, especially for this meeting. Mm-hmm.
That was good presentation. Thank you.
Gracias. Thank you. Gracias.